In this video we're going to talk about the wing roundels on RNZAF Mustangs. In the photo here are NZ2402 and NZ2423. Looking at NZ2402, the roundel above its starboard wing looks slightly, or actually significantly smaller than the roundel above the port wing. The roundel above the port wing would have originally been a US star and bar, and the New Zealand roundel would have covered the full size of the star, so I believe it's 39 inches. The one above the starboard wing would have been applied from scratch, so it's eminently possible that it is in a different location and it could be a different size. Now this issue is the basis of this video. Here are two photos of NZ2402. One from the front, one from the back. I've drawn a red arrow pointing at the starboard wing roundels. Now, if I look at the photographs, the starboard roundels, they do look different from the roundels on the port side. But are they different? Is one bigger or smaller? Are they just in different locations? Let's find out. I've started off in Photoshop by cropping the photo just down to NZ2402. The camera ship appears to be more or less dead in front of the aircraft, which is good from our perspective. The photo is from near the end of the aircraft's service life, and so being rather scruffy, the panel lines show up well, which is good from our perspective. On this slide I've drawn red lines over some of the panel lines on the starboard wing. I've also drawn over parts of the control surfaces and the small fairings that are adjacent to the control surface. I've only tried to highlight panel lines that are really clear in their location and not tried to guess where others might be. In this slide I've added blue lines over the panel lines and control surfaces on the port side. Now I've darkened up the starboard wing to try and get some sort of extra detail into what we're looking at, and to help offset the fact that the starboard wing is rather blown out, which can give an incorrect impression of the size of things. On this slide I've taken the starboard wing and I've flipped it over and put it on the port side. Then I've used Photoshop's scaling, rotation and distortion tools to get the red lines and the blue lines to match up with each other. So now we're comparing accurately the two roundels. On the following slide I trim away the forward half of the flipped roundel, and then I use the nudge keys to maneuver the two halves of the roundels so that they match up with each other. In this way we get a perception of where the roundels are on the two wings and whether their sizes are the same or different. After that I talk a little bit as well on the next slide. Did you see that? We had to nudge the flipped wing half outboard to get the two roundels to overlap. Now we can get a fairly good impression of their relative sizes. Now if they're not the same size, they're certainly fairly close. We can also deduce that the starboard roundel is further inboard compared with the port one, because the flipped wing half we had to push it outwards to get the roundels to overlap. There, I just toggled on and off the flipped wing half so you can get a good impression of the relative sizes of the two roundels, and of course the red lines toggle on and off as I do that as well. And there we have it. Now, I've come back to the original photograph of NZ2402, and even though we've just seen that these roundels are very close, if not identical in size, I still look at this photograph and I perceive the starboard roundel as being smaller. And I suspect it's partially because of the blown out nature of the photograph on the starboard side, and also that the starboard roundel is positioned further inboard, hence it is up against a slightly wider part of the wing. And that completes our short presentation. On this closing screen we have a side view of NZ2423. NZ2423 is the other aircraft in the opening photograph where you saw the two planes flying towards the camera. NZ2423 is now being restored in New Zealand. If you're interested in buying Ventura decals for model kits, you can go to venturapublications.com and search for Mustang in the search box, and all of our different Mustang decals will come to light. NZ2423 in this scheme is available in 72nd scale and in 1/48th scale. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation.